Good morning. Welcome to this edition of the Richard Urban Show, where we present news and views from God's point of view. Today, we're very happy to have Wayne Clark on. He is the Republican candidate for Delegate District 65. So please introduce yourself.
Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Wayne Clark. I'm running for House of Delegates, District 65 here in Jefferson County. I am a small business owner in Jefferson County, most known as the owner of Locust Hill Golf Course. I'm a pro-family, pro-life, and pro-Second Amendment, and I look forward to your questions.
Okay, great. Well, what do you think is like in the district or, maybe statewide, what do you think the biggest issue is right now?
Well, I mean, it's, COVID. I mean, that's the biggest issue nationwide. What COVID has done to small businesses and what it's about to do. And what I mean by about to do, as a prime example, myself, as a golf course, during the summertime, we're busy, but in the wintertime is when we rely a lot on our social environment. We rely on hosting Christmas parties. We rely on, live music nights. We rely on our restaurant sales. Our restaurant sales are about to take a massive hit because the current COVID restrictions that are put on restaurants in regard and entertainment venues like myself that are about to come out, with 25 people gathering, no buffets, no live music inside. So a lot of small business owners, are starting to see that type of thing. And other things such as, your PPE protection stuff, the plexiglass, the gloves, we got to use styrofoam plates. We can't use, glass plates. All that additional expenses are going to really start to get more strict as we're going into the winter months. And that's going to put a big strain on a lot of small businesses.
So do you think, yes, I hear what you're saying. I mean, I've seen things that said like, and already we know many like restaurants have closed. And I saw it was something that said like, was it 25% of restaurants that closed permanently? Maybe in New York City, it's more than that. I mean, yeah. So what do you think? Has the governor like overstepped his bounds? Is this really all crazy? Because I'm seeing things like, now studies have shown, I mean, at first we didn't know, like, there's really not concern about touching surfaces. That's not how it's spread. So why are we doing all this crazy stuff? Do you have any comments on that?
Well, I mean, let's go back to March when, the governor, issued the statewide, shutdown, and many other governors followed suit. We had no idea, what this virus was going to do. We had no idea where, how the virus was going to affect us. But we do know now, we do know that, it's very hard to get COVID from touch surfaces. It's very hard. I mean, if you're maintaining a social distance, it's very hard to get it, from just talking to someone, So at this point now, what we know, we should now start opening up, some of the restrictions, allowing, businesses to maintain themselves, allowing businesses, to, do what they have to do. Sure, we gotta, we have to have smaller, staff and all that because we have less customers, but, no customers, that doesn't work. Less customers, that does work. And we need to open up the restrictions so that we can at least have less customers.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on that. I mean, myself and my wife, like, I mean, these things, a lot of it, I think, is posturing. I mean, so you go to a restaurant and say, okay, wear a mask. And then like, but Yeah, obviously when you're sitting at your table eating, you're not wearing a mask. I mean, it's like it doesn't. It's just like appearances, and it's very damaging. And honestly, it's not very pleasant for me. I mean, now with these kind of things, people like myself, we don't really feel like going out and eating so much. I mean, occasionally may. Uh, yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense. So one question is like in the House of Delegates, will you like vote to modify the emergency powers? Because now they're going on and on. Like, would you want to restrict them in time, like to maybe 30 days, and then the legislature has to come back, or what do you think?
I do agree we have to make some sort of adjustments to the Emergency Powers Act. And it's not just my opinion. It's others who are running also agree. It's the to take one person to have full authority for this long, or to bypass, as an example, back in April, when the governor issued additional powers to Dr. Reedy of the health department here in Jefferson County. Those types of things, should be looked at and revised in this setting. And, you hear it all the time, let me make my choice of what I feel is best for me and my family.
Right.
Don't dictate my choice from someone else.
No, I agree. I agree with that. Individual responsibility. Like if you feel personally you're at a great risk, then avoid going to say any event or restaurant, whatever. I mean, but to say that everybody has to follow these very dubious guidelines. I mean, about all the mask wearing and distancing and all those things, I think is very questionable. Let the people decide, themselves.
Correct.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. That's very important. Well, one interesting thing is I know that, Governor Justice supposedly is a Republican. I know he changed parties, but really, I mean, I'm wondering do you think the response, or in your opinion personally, is it muted from some legislators or people more because they don't, because he's supposedly Republican? I mean, honestly, myself, I like S. Marshall Wilson. I'm gonna write him in, honestly, for governor. But what do you think? There's a little of that good old boy politics going on? Like people are like a little reluctant to push back if the Republicans because of that fact, or what do you think?
I mean, I don't necessarily want to speak, but about that. I mean, I don't know. I'm not in the room while these decisions are going. You know, I too have listened to Mr. Wilson, and I believe as well that he would be a strong candidate for governor. But it's I don't know. I mean, I can't answer that because I'm not there. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. I meant more from like just the legislators, like why didn't the legislators come back? I think it's 3/5, right? I didn't
Yes,
feel, I didn't see, I did contact, our legislators, but I didn't get much response saying, yes, we're going to come back. This is very important. It's kind of like it was to me, a weak response. Do you know what I'm saying?
correct. I agree. I agree. Should there have been an emergency session? Probably. Especially as this process continued on. Why there wasn't one, I don't know, and I don't want to speak about something I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. On another note, like, when do you think life begins? I guess I'm asking about, so-called pro-life question, but when for you does life begin? Because I know I'm probably most likely a differentiating fact with your opponent, right?
Yeah, life begins at conception.
Okay, so that's a clear thing for you.
It's clear. It is. My wife and I, unfortunately, had two miscarriages before we had our twins. and I have a older daughter. She's 26 now, who has two daughters herself. Um, and I had her at a young age, and there was no thought process. I mean, it was okay. Here we go. We're going from college to parents right away. Um, so, conception starts life.
Yes. Okay. All right. That's clear for everyone listening. Yeah. On a well, maybe somewhat related topic, I've been working on in the legislature over several years now, the health freedom issue, or often called vaccination choice, meaning, as you know, like in West Virginia, we have this mandate: no vaccination, no school. So do you think there should be religious or conscientious objections to like vaccinations, or it's like a one like it is now is okay, or what's your opinion on that?
All right. Interesting question. My personal belief, you my daughters have been vaccinated um, for many of things. My daughters have not been vaccinated for some things. You know, um, it is a religious belief on what should be, and if you choose not to have your child vaccinated for something, let's use, you know, um, let's go way back. So let's go back to polio. Okay, if you chose not to have your child vaccinated for polio, but at the same time the school says, okay, well, you can't because you can't come to school because you did not get that vaccination, then you have no choice but to homeschool your kid. It, that is the way the law is written, and that is what it is. I mean, but
In our state and a few other states, but most states have exemptions still.
Correct. Most states do have exemptions for that. You know, I don't know. I don't know if that's something, that a first year, delegate should attack. I think that's, so I'll leave my answer to the way it is.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, okay. All right. So that's you gave your opinion on that. Yeah. On a well, yeah, let's ask this. So I'm over here in Shannondale, and one issue I'm working on with like Steve Harris and others is like for emergency safety and general also in general, like that there should be a southern or another, which presumably really would be southern exit for Shannondale. On Mission Road here we have some like 4,000 people, and there's
Correct.
only one way in and out. So would you, the short question is, would you support like funding like for such a road in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely the traffic study has shown that there is some sort of a situation in the Shenandoah area. You you have a Mission Road is not conducive to two lanes coming out. Um, there should be something, if the county, the state has the funding to bring in another road, and if we have the property, I don't know for sure if there's state ground that is accessible out. Where does that connect to? Does it connect all the way down to Route 7? Does it come out to Route 7, or does it connect over to Shepherd's Mill Road, in a little part of where it's in West Virginia still?
Yeah, Raven Rocks area you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are undecided, but it seems like there needs to be a plan. I mean, it's just not feasible from like a emergency viewpoint. And there's no,
Right.
the sheriff, for instance, says there is no like evacuation plan or anything. So it needs focus
I agree.
and funding. Okay. Yeah.
If you're trying to evacuate through Mission Road and you're doing 2 lanes out, emergency vehicles can't get past you.
Yeah. Well, that, or if there's any, or just the logistics of it. Okay. Yeah. All right. So, yeah, I guess, just kind of on a more open question, like, how would you like differentiate yourself from your opponent, Sammy Brown? Like, why should the voters choose you? What's different?
Well, I'm I'm going to say the biggest difference between myself and what I've learned about Sammy Brown is that I'm going to work. I'm going to get in. I'm going to work with others that are nearby, other delegates, senators, to find a way to improve the business structure of West Virginia, to bring more small businesses, entrepreneurs into West Virginia that are going to provide money to our tax base, that's going to help us so that we can, do things for the schools, improve the schools without necessarily having to, bring in another, $40 million, levy every few years. So that is something that I'm going to work on. I'm not going to go in there under a, predisposed agenda, and focus on just my agenda. I'm going to work for everybody. My time at City Council in Charlestown, I learned that, you have to take everybody's side and then figure out a way that it's going to best suit all citizens, not just select few. Everybody's got to benefit from whatever legislation you pass or introduce. And
Yeah.
that's the biggest difference between me and her.
I would assume well, let me not assume anything. So you mentioned school levy. Interesting. I recently wrote an editorial about that. Definitely, there's a lot of waste there. I'm voting personally. I think that voters should vote against this excess school levy. But what I was going to say about the funding is, yeah, the idea of, it seems like, and I know you're not in charge of the school budget, but although the state does provide most of the school budget, so actually it is a relevant question. Anyway, what I was getting to is that the levy here in Jefferson County seems to become sort of like an entitlement. They're giving themselves big raises, and it's like, so far as I've been able to find out, and I was spending some time researching it, you can't really find out the breakdown. And even the newspaper took them 3 months to figure out what salaries they gave to what people. Not salaries, added salaries. All that being said, it's extremely non-transparent. It seems extremely wasteful. And couldn't there be better ways to raise money if needed, or use taxpayer dollars? And even like the idea of school choice and things like that. Do you have any comments on those kind of issues?
I do. The levy, it's the wrong time for the levy. In a time right now where half our kids are going to school, half our kids are virtual learning, just to, I look through the entire levy and where money's going and what money's going for. And yes, a lot of these schools need these repairs. I'm going to be attending the Harpers Ferry Charlestown football game today, and yes, that stadium needs repaired. But we can find other ways of doing that type of stuff. Rather than just blasting these $40 million levy.
Yeah.
I understand the the backbone of it, but I don't think it's the right time to introduce that levy at this point.
Well, there's two levies, right? There's an excess levy, so-called, which
right.
I feel they're not very transparent about. So as best as I've researched, only like 2% goes to teachers' salaries, and then I cannot obtain information or find it anywhere actually how much they spend on extra aides and stuff, and how much they spend on office staff. But I do know the office staff is, like, one striking thing is like 38 administrative positions for like 9,000 students, And in Kanawha County, they have 47, only a little bit more, for 25,000 students. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's no doubt that there is, you know, a unbalanced between the administrative and the numbers of students in many of the counties throughout the state. You know, West Virginia is one of the highest states in the country to educate kids. We spend nearly $12,000 per student to educate them. That's a lot of money, and there's a lot of, you know, positions that, you know, and I don't want anybody to lose their job or anything like that, but I mean, you know, there's a lot of positions that, you know, we need to really look into the budget and say, okay, do we need this? You know, do we need this position? My wife's a teacher, and, you know, she teaches in Loudoun County. She wanted to come over to Jefferson County, but our family just can't take that hit from the difference in Loudoun County to Jefferson County in salary. And, you know, until Jefferson County can figure out a way to balance that difference, you know, many of our teachers are going to travel out of state. You know, and I don't know. I mean, $250,000 in raises back in June for the administrative. You know, we could have put every teacher in Jefferson County. You know, could have given them a $500 COVID bonus. You know, I mean, it wouldn't have made a huge difference to their financials, but it would help some.
Yeah.
Anyway,
well, I read today
you
they're
know,
doing that, but they're using the CARES money. I don't know if that's how they figured that out. But yeah, it's very, yeah, I think a lot of it is deceptive because, you know, people are saying, and some teachers have commented on my editorial that, oh, will be cut a lot because of the excess levy if it's not passed. But as far as, I mean, if I'm wrong, someone correct me, but something like 2%, not 20, 2% of that excess levy goes to teacher and service personnel salaries, you know? So it's just a lot of waste, a lot of administrative bloat. And, you know, I mean, maybe it'd be better if taxpayers kept their money, and if the school wants a librarian and the state doesn't pay for it, the parents might have, you know, $500 each in their pocket and fund it themselves. I mean, I don't know. I mean, things like that. You know what I mean?
yeah, I mean, you know, you look at some other states that are around us. You know, Pennsylvania is a prime example. You know, your property tax stays in the county and funds the schools. You know, so each county has its own funding program. You know, West Virginia forever, you know, it's all state funded. Everything goes down to, you know, Kanawha County, goes down to the capital, and then it's distributed out. When you look at the median income, you know, individual median income for the state of West Virginia, you know, you're somewhere just at 40,000. Well, in some counties where the median income is, you know, 32, your teachers are making, you know, 42. But then you look at some of your counties where the median income's in the 50s and 60s and 70s, like Jefferson County, and they're only making 42. You know, 47, you know, with locality and, you know, bonuses and all the other. But, you know, it should be more of a county based, not a, you know, not a state
Yeah,
based.
I think we have the locality thing. Well, interesting. I would like to see if the school board wants to argue strongly for the levy. I'd like to see them make a clear breakdown. Honestly, I think they're afraid to, because people would see like, oh, we spent, I don't know the exact figure, 13 million for the administration, or whatever
Right.
it is, 5 million. Oh, we only gave the teachers, you know, 1 million. And I don't know where, you know, it's totally unclear. It says, okay, the levies for 17 million plus for salaries. Well, that's not good enough. Whose salaries? How much? It's, you know, that's not appropriate. I don't feel that's an appropriate way to be accountable tax. And also, they spent almost $1 million for this Epic place, which is some kind of inter-county organization, and they also pay the lawyer from that, Miss Sutton. It's impossible to know how much they spent on the lawyer. I mean, that's a lot of money to give that organization $1 million, which includes the lawyer. So they've obfuscated that because the lawyer positions up. There's just so many things. It's just like, you know, if you your personal money, would you just give it to somebody like, okay, here's $10,000, and they don't even account for it? I'm sorry, that's not right.
No. Yeah. I got so many things I could do with $10,000, but yeah, and not
Yeah.
just give it away.
Yeah, no, it's huge. It's 40% increase. Now the excess levy, the school bond would increase it even more. I think
Right.
another. I'm not sure the exact percentage, but the excess levy increases the property tax 40%. 40%. So that's like on a $225,000 house for renters, it would be like $100, assuming the landlord will pass
Right.
that on. And for homeowners, $100 a month. $50
Right.
a month for homeowners. That's a lot.
That is.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we spent a bit of time on that, but yeah. So with the education overall, would you like, you know, I know that we have in our that education choice bill, I think Ms. Rucker worked on that a lot. She did.
Yes.
There are now a few, I don't know that there's any in the works, but like something like 3 charter schools are authorized, or is it 5? Which isn't a lot, but are you for more school choice, or do you like the system as is now where everything goes to public education pretty much?
Well, I mean, I grew up in Baltimore, and I chose to go to a different high school than my brother and my family, um, because of the curriculum that they had, you know, and school choice yes, Baltimore City schools are really, really bad, but some of them are really, really good. You know, school choice can help. And, you know, what have we done in the last 15 years to improve anything? Has anything worked? You know, let's let the charter schools, go and see if they work. And, at least we have something. So I agree with school choice. I agree with, the charter schools. It's only 3. Let's see how they work. Give us a 5-10 year process to see how they work before we start going crazy and building charter schools all through the state. And see if the test scores go up. See if our kids are more proficient. More kids are earning their promise scholarships, or going out of state to major universities, that kind of stuff. Let's see what happens with it.
Okay. Yeah, I think more choice is good. Or, if parents want to choose to homeschool or hire teachers on small groups, I don't know what the technical name is. I guess it's a part of homeschooling. Sometimes they hire a teacher to teach, I don't know, physics or something. Well, that's their choice, So, I mean, right now that's not funded, but I mean, I think those kind of things, almost some of the things like that almost pass. Not yet, but yeah, choice is good. I think that's good. Yeah, I think we should have different choices. And on the pro-life issue, I just want to mention, like, our organization deals with, sexual health education. I think, that's more probably at the county level, but what the policy is. But I think also regarding that issue of, like, life, if we take it a step back, it's good to, or you can tell me what you think, but, encourage school-age youth not to have sex before marriage, which is sometimes, in my experience, I work with that issue in our nonprofit, can be very contentious, but I believe that should be the standard for school-age children. Do you have any opinion about that?
Well, I mean, as a father of 3 girls, um, I'm trying to teach them that very concept, and if that kind of teaching starts at home,
Right.
and should be reiterated in school, but it's got to start at home. You know, the parents need to be teaching that as a basis, and you know, the reasons why, you know, absence, you know, at a young age is important, and you know, having it reiterated in school, yes, you know, but it's not the school's main responsibility. You know, it's the parents' responsibility.
Well, true, but it pretty much every county and jurisdiction has some kind of, you know, AIDS prevention education, so those topics inevitably come up. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, as we're winding down, just like to see if there's any other issues you'd like to address, and really why, you know, like we've covered a lot already, I know, but any like closing statement you want to make about why the voters should vote for you?
Well, I mean, the thing about myself is, you know, I'm a common sense guy. You know, I'm going to do what's going to be best for Jefferson County. I'm going to do what's best for the state of West Virginia. And you know, I'm not someone who's going to get pushed around. When I, you know, make my decision is what it is. You know, I stand behind my decision. Obviously, yes, someone can, you know, have a constructive conversation with me to change my opinion. And providing they have, you know, factual backing for that, correct. But, you know, I'm going to stay strong with, you know, my convictions in regards to what, you know, the state needs, what Jefferson County needs, you know, and what our kids need. One of the important things to understand is that any decisions that we make now are going to affect those in the future. And we need to make sure that we're making the right decisions now so that the state continues to grow and the county continues to grow and improve. And I'll leave it at that. I hope we get, you know, everybody's vote on November 3rd. Wayne Clark, House of Delegates, District 65.
Okay, so we're gonna make this available on video and podcast. Anybody could search, by the way, for the Richard Urban Show on any like podcast platform, and they'll also be able to find it there. All right. Well, I thank you very, very much. Yeah, for coming on today. We'll get this out, and I hope it helps a lot of voters to decide.
I hope so too, and I appreciate you reaching out to me and inviting me out here.
Okay. All right. I'm your host, Richard Urban, coming from historic Harpers Ferry. Thank you for joining us today, and do be blessed.